RSR or reserve rights did not have such a great performance like most of the other cryptocurrencies, but I do believe it still have a lot of potential to unlock. So if you wanna know why, watch till the end. So I'm going to start from the weekly chart in order to understand if this is a 3 or a 5 wave structure. So far what we've had in this structure is only 2 complete waves. So the first one has started at this point and ended at this point, and the second wave or the corrective wave has ended right at this point, because this last wave that's being formed right now is not yet complete. Because of that, it's difficult to tell yet if we're going to have a 3 or 5 wave structure. But what we know for sure is that the least structure that we're going to have is a 3 wave structure, which is likely going to look like this. This is the initial impulse, and that's the first correction. And the second impulse or the third wave of this structure is the one that's being formed right now and is likely going to break this previous high. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you know that most of the structures that we come across are 5 wave structures. So it's not very common to get structures that only had 2 complete waves. And this is very important because usually in any structure, the second impulse of the structure or the third wave is usually the strongest and the longest out of all the waves that we have in a structure, which means that this specific pair is going to have much more potential to unlock going forward. And we may have a decent price growth from this point all the way to the end of this cycle. Now I'll be moving to the daily chart to try and analyze the third piece of this structure and see where do we stand as of this point and what are the next steps going forward. On the daily chart, as it's clear here, we have started an impulsive move towards the upside after the second wave of the bigger structure was complete. Now this impulsive move, as I said earlier, is going to be the third wave of the bigger structure. However, inside of this move here, we have even smaller structures that we're going to break and see what are the upcoming possibilities for it. We are facing 2 scenarios for this third wave of the structure. Now the first scenario is suggesting that this was the initial wave and we have already completed the second wave, which formed a contracting flat that included 1, 2, and 3. And this impulsive move that we are having right now is likely going to be the third wave of this smaller structure. So ideally this one should keep going to the top. And as soon as this third one is complete, the overall structure is going to be a 1, a 2, and 3 waves. This will be the impulse, and this will be the correction, and this will be the second impulse. Now this scenario will only be confirmed once the price crosses above this previous high at this point. So if we put a line here, we will need the price to continue going up and close above this level in order for us to confirm that this is going to be the scenario that we are facing right now. However, if this does not happen and the price for some reason is rejected here, we are going to be facing another scenario. This second scenario is suggesting that the correction is not yet complete and it's going to be more complicated than we think. In other words, instead of saying that these are the 3 complete waves of the correction, we are going to assume that the correction is not yet complete and we have only completed the first and the initial wave. And these 3 waves in the center are going to make the second part of the corrective structure. And this, as I said earlier, it will happen in the case of the price being rejected at some point here. So if that happens, we're going to have one last drop towards this area, and then we'll continue going up from this point onwards. Now the reason I'm telling you about this scenario, because you always have to be open for possibilities. I personally believe that the correction was complete and we are already on our way up. So these were the only 3 corrective waves that we have, and now we are on the third wave of the structure, because we have a strong momentum right now. However, if you don't keep an open mind for possibilities, you will get wrecked sometimes. So keep that scenario in mind and watch out for some kind of rejection that might happen at some point over here. And if you start seeing those signs at some point here, like long wick candles to the upside or bearish candles that have a bigger momentum towards the downside, so start looking then at the other scenario. However, if the price keeps going strong as it's doing right now and closes above this level here, then most likely we're going to go with the first scenario. Now in both cases, either we get the first or the second scenario, we're going to continue going up at some point. And I do believe that there's a lot of potential to be unlocked in here. So I'm going to zoom out and plot the Fibonacci trend-based levels in order to see how far we can be extending as soon as we break the previous all-time high. Now the first target that we should be looking at is the 1.618 Fibonacci extension. And if the price tends to go towards this level, so we're going to reach somewhere around 20 cents. And if we measure that from where we stand right at this point, that's going to be about 400% growth in price. However, if RSR gets a really strong momentum over here and continues going up, so the next target is going to be the 3.618 Fibonacci extension, and that stands at 42 cents. So if we measure that price point from where we are right now, that's going to be somewhere between 900 to 1000%. Generally speaking, the judge is going to be here the momentum. So if we keep seeing strong momentum for RSR with big volume, so we could expect it to reach the 3.618. However, if the momentum goes strong but then starts fading at some point here, so we might end it at the 1.618 Fibonacci level. Now, I'm not telling you it's going to get to this one or to that one. Both chances are there, but what we know for sure, in order for the bigger structure to be complete, we have to at least break the previous all-time high. And only right then, the bigger structure is going to be 1, 2, and 3. So if we end here, this is how it's going to be. If we end at the 3.618, this is how it's going to be. And only at that point we can start looking at a long-term bearish correction that could happen. If you have enjoyed this video and enjoyed today's analysis, please make sure to subscribe and hit the like button, and also make sure to share the video as well. This was it for RSR, and until next video, stay safe and see you later.